Important, 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 important.
You don't need to go learn everyone in the world's love language.
Just so you know, you make a big difference.
Which is hard for people because silence means discomfort for many of us.
You never know what that person needs. Maybe it is just to be heard.
And don't feel like you have to have all the answers, because listening is a very powerful tool.
You're listening to the Apology Void podcast.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Today, okay, I've got something to say, but before I do, I'll let you know what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're talking about showing up for people. We're talking about how we show up, how we listen, putting kindness into the world, no matter what we have going on in our own life. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic. However, I want to say the program that we use, Riverside, has picked today, of all days, to change settings. So I don't even know where to look. I don't know what to, because I'm used to looking at you from my right, but now you're on my left, and I can't. Riverside, just know. What are you doing to me?
It's always like, I feel like programs do updates when it's least convenient for me. So like, today I got home and was just settling in minutes before, like we had to push back so that Sal and I could both like align ourselves into this space. And then I open up Riverside. It's already been a heck of a couple days. I am literally in between travels by like hours. And this is the single time we could get together. And today of all days, Riverside decided to change all of like the positioning of controls and where our faces are. So typically we're side by side, and now we're like Sal is above me and I'm below her. And I don't know how it looks for you, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, my brain can't take anymore.
Wait, so on your screen we're up and down?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're still side by side, but anyway, I don't know what's going on because there's no setting thing on the side for me either.
Oh, I have a setting panel. Oh, now we're side by side. Oh, shoot.
Oh.
I just changed my screen. Oh, but now I'm on the left and you're on the right. I don't like that at all. Hold on. I'm going to change this real quick back to where it was because I preferred you above me than how we were. Oh, no, now I'm on top. Anyway, it's okay. Things changed today, and we're just going to roll with it. So if things sound a little more chaos than normal, that's why.
I don't know how that's possible, but here we are.
To sound more chaos than normal? Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably
somehow, though, we do manage to get sometimes the calmness across.
I'm going to channel my like inner Zen today. I use that yoga emoji that's like the lotus position with the fingers and the hands. And that's always my emoji I use for people when I'm like taking a deep breath or feeling overwhelmed or frustrated. We just go
deep breaths.
And now we do a relaxation exercise. Anyway.
That would be nice, but
maybe a future episode. I'll lead that.
We'll see how we go. Anyway, let's kick off. Let's show up. Let's show up for people, no matter what's going on.
Yes. Ugh.
So this came up because you had a really nice story this week.
Yeah. Okay, so I went back to my old hometown and I saw a couple people. I had tons of work stuff, but in between that, I saw just a couple people while I was there. And those people included me in things that they didn't include other people in. And it was really, really special. It was really, really special. One of my friends was moving and didn't have a ton of family support, but she opened up her home to me and was so grateful that I was just there and showed up for her and listened and celebrated her win, because that was about her and her home and celebrating her. And then I had another friend tell me an embarrassment of theirs just because they knew I would sit and listen rather than just brush it off and say, oh, well, everything's fine now, isn't it? So I had a couple friends really express gratitude for the fact that I just either sit with them or listen or ask reflective questions rather than give advice or tell them my own story or pair things together. Because when we stop and we just listen to someone, it's so validating and supportive. And you never know. You never know what that person needs. Maybe it is just to be heard. So it was a really beautiful weekend of being able to show up for some people just by being physically present.
And sometimes that's all it is, isn't it? The
Yeah.
listening. If you don't have the capacity to offer advice or offer some reflective questions because maybe you're in a stage of life where you're going through a lot yourself, just sitting there and listening and not even saying much. You don't always have to have words.
Yep.
And I think that's really important as well. So while we're sitting here just talking away, having the words, saying you don't have to have the words, sometimes it's just someone to have an ear and I guess just some feedback in terms of, I don't mean offering verbal feedback, like just validating their concerns or feelings or just saying like yes and acknowledging them. And that opens up the space for them to keep talking.
Yeah.
So never underestimate what somebody else might be going through and don't feel like you have to have all the answers because listening is a very powerful tool.
You don't have to have experienced. Wow, my words are struggling today, Sal. My mouth is like physically tired. So, because I've been talking so much. But you don't have to physically understand and have experienced the same thing to show up for someone. There's so much power in silence. And, having a therapeutic background myself, the biggest thing I do when I'm training somebody else is tell them to leave space. So when somebody is talking, it's important to literally just sit there, not think ahead as to what you're going to say, not think of a million responses, not, come up with a related story, but literally sit there in presence. And then when they're done talking, you can even count to 3 before you say anything to make sure they are done and to allow the space for that to settle. You don't have to have the experience of that same experience to sit with someone. We all have different experiences, and that's what makes us unique and individual. So you're never going to fully understand a different person, but you can sure as heck sit and listen and show up in a way that's just open and unrelated to you and yourself.
No, 100%. And you said something there that's really important as well. You said the related topic. In fact, that's a very common response. When people are talking, we think of something that has happened to us that's similar. And that's the first thing that comes out of our mouth, a related topic to what they're talking about. What I will say, I almost think that's the worst thing that you can do. Because as soon as you say, I know I've had this, or I know that this happened to me, or I know once I did this, or something like that, it actually invalidates the other person's feelings and story because you're now talking about yourself.
Yes. Yes.
That is probably not the right moment. So I understand we all need to speak about things in our life and our experiences and our feelings. Perhaps when somebody else is opening up to you or coming to you for some guidance or a listening ear, offering your personal story in that moment, don't recommend.
Nope.
Don't recommend.
Well, it's so
easy
true.
to do. It's easy to do. I just will say, and it is true because I've done it. I'll admit. And then now, so more than ever, I do catch myself though. I'm like, shit, it's not about, because it's just an automatic response because you think relatability helps. No one's doing it maliciously, right? I think that people just think that relatability will help people. It's like proving to them that you understand. but
Yeah.
you don't need to understand. And they don't need to know that you understand, if that makes
Correct.
sense.
Yes. 100%. You do so much just by sitting there. I think one of the best parts, actually, of showing up for my friend that had just moved was sitting in her new backyard in complete and total silence together. And
I
just
love that.
sitting there in that experience, and as she experienced peace, being able to celebrate and sit in that with her. It's not my thing. It's not my excitement. It's not my house. It's not my joy. But I can still show up. And I might not understand exactly all of her stuff, but I can still express joy for her all of the time. So I love when you said it invalidates or it makes someone else's story less valid if you immediately jump in with your own. And that's so absolutely true. Like one person, one person losing a dog is not the same as another person losing a dog. Just because you lost your dog 10 years ago doesn't mean you should bring that up as soon as somebody else says that they've lost theirs. Same with a family member or a relative or whatever. Allow them to express grief and ask before you jump in with oh, I've been there too. You haven't been there. You haven't been in their shoes. You have not been in their life. So do not ever say you have been there. Share your experience maybe after you have asked how they're doing or how they're coping or if they have any memories they'd like to share or if there's anything that stands out to them or literally nothing. Sit in silence and see what comes up.
And silence is, I think, is always the best answer if you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Which is hard for people because silence means discomfort for many of us. So I can understand when people don't that because they feel like filling the space with words is better. It isn't.
Yeah.
It absolutely isn't. And perhaps if you, once you've sat and you've had a conversation or you've just listened and nothing else is coming up, maybe that could be a time that you could say, if you have something relatable, when such and such similar happened to me, this was an experience. Is that something that you're experiencing? Because I can, we can have a conversation about that because I have had a similar. I don't know. Like I'm just picking your words, saying so. Like when this happened, I felt this, or when this happened, I experienced this. Is that relatable? Opening it back up for them to speak again, rather than going, I know exactly what you're feeling. That happened to me. This one time, my boss did the exact same thing to me. You're literally just making it all about you.
Correct.
Like that.
Correct.
That person is now shut down.
Exactly.
Yep. They will leave that conversation not feeling like it was a good interaction.
Yes.
Don't do that.
So for people who struggle with silence, there is something that you can ask, which is, what would be most helpful for me to listen and say nothing, for me to validate and support, or for me to give advice or a related story? You can ask that person what would be most helpful for them, especially maybe they just need somebody to rant to about their own life for a minute. Maybe they're a verbal processor who literally just needs to get everything out of their brain. That's me. I am a verbal processor. I have to speak it out sometimes in order to understand my own self. I don't need advice. I don't need anything. I just need you to listen. And then say, okay, great.
And zero feedback. That could be
correct.
Yeah. That could be all they need in that moment.
So even just asking, like, what kind of support would be most helpful for someone? Because if you're uncomfortable or uncozy in that situation, if you're just starting to experiment with how you show up in your relationships differently or how you provide more reflective support, that's a way you can do that, is to ask what somebody literally needs and offer options, because people don't always know exactly what they need until they're given options. Like, do you want chocolate, vanilla, or mint chip? Um,
True.
I don't know what I want until I'm given options sometimes. So giving someone the opportunity to pick that thing gives them control and also gives you direction, which I think can be really helpful.
No, 100%. And I just want to take it a step further as well. So we've been talking about verbal conversations and people being very explicit when they're going through something and opening up about that. Showing up for people doesn't always present in that way either. So there might be people in your life who are going through things, or they need support in their job or something, but they actually won't tell you. So sometimes it's just about being there for our friends and family in a way that they may not even know that they need, and also being understanding on the reciprocal end of sometimes. God, this is very long-winded, and I'm just trying to sum it up because I've got so many thoughts right now. Okay, so if you're the person that needs something, like if you're the person that's going through and you need, but you know that the closest people in your life also have a lot going on. It's like, okay, being that understanding, going, right, maybe they don't have the capacity to show up for me at the moment. If you are on the end where you are the person needing to show up and you do have the capacity, sometimes it's just about a message. Sometimes it's just about making a trip. Like, so, for example, it was my brother-in-law's birthday during the week, and we'd organised just like a family dinner. So, look, in all honesty, driving 3 hours there one day, so we drove in the morning, 3 hours there, had an appointment, had dinner, left the next day at 6 a.m. to drive 3 hours back for work. Probably not ideal. But I was like, okay, no, we're going to show up because he doesn't need us to show up. Like, he's not going through anything, but it's just like an important time in our life and to be together as a family. So sometimes it's just about, okay, if I can do it, I'm going to show up. Again, doesn't have to be physically. You don't have to drive 6 hours to like hang out, send a message, whatever. God, I've got so many thoughts right now, but I'll just say that. Leave a message.
The fact that we both drove 6 hours this week to support other people is fantastic, because I did something similar. 2 of my employees were in a musical, and so I drove the 3 hours to go see opening night of that musical and to be there to support them and to bring them both flowers, because I know how much hard work they've put into it and how much energy. And so I literally just showed up, and I got a text message from one of them today that was the most endearing, sweet text I have gotten recently. And it was just filled with words of gratitude. She's like, you don't know what that means. That meant so much to me that you were just there and that you showed up. So it means a lot to people. The other thing is, with texting or sending a message, whenever I'm thinking of someone, I send them a message. And if I know they have an event coming up, I will put it in my calendar so that I send them a message to ask about it. So when one of my friends was traveling for a stressful family event, I made a mental note to text them during that and just be like, hey, thinking of you, hoping everything's going okay. I know this was going to be a stressful weekend. And they were shocked that I reached out. I had 2 people that I've never met in person actually send me messages this past week on Instagram to say, and I haven't been sharing a lot there because I've been so busy. And it's these 2 people who I've, again, never met in real life, who messaged me out of the blue just to say, I want you to know that you provide a lot of sunshine to people. And I was like, okay, thanks. I've been feeling really crummy, and apparently you picked up on that. So just noticing those things and sending someone a message can make the biggest difference.
That's really special. And absolutely right. Like, you don't, as I said, you don't need to drive 6-hour round trip. You may not be in a position to do that. So we're absolutely not sitting here saying you need to jeopardize your own health through like no rest because you're very low on time. Anyway, don't have very much time and or financial means to drive 6 hours because, as we know, cost of living, etc. So we're not saying you have to show up physically for people. If you can, amazing. But yeah, a message. Knowing people's love languages, like we've spoken about love languages before. So if it's a friend, like if you know their love language is gift, like buying them flowers or buying, again, doesn't have to be a big cost or something. Sending them a little gift is nice. If you know it's someone words of affirmation, like sending a nice long worded message, that might be what they really want to receive. So no matter what we have going on in our own life, know that other people have things going on as well. Yeah. And we all go through stages in our life. It may not be as deep, but it's relative. Someone else's experiences, someone else's life, what's happening at the moment, it's relative to their current experience. And it's important that we acknowledge, and it's important that we listen, show up, and not automatically try to compare and be, oh, me too. Oh, woe me, poor me. Me too. Don't do that. Just reiterating, don't do that.
Don't do it. Ask a question, take a pause, send a message. Yeah. Know the love language. Like, just take a minute to take an inventory. My mom, I'm going to relate this back. My mom, I know her love language is quality time. She just had her birthday. So rather than spend a lot of time on gifts that she may or may not use, rather we divided and conquered, my sister and I did. So she went down to my parents' house and surprised my mom. So she, her husband, and my niece all went to her house and showed up without letting her know and like planned a cookout and spent hours there with her. I drove down on her birthday, we went to dinner, and then I surprised her with a musical I knew she'd want to go to. So the quality time there was so paramount in making her feel loved. And she has said the past several days, like, that was the best birthday I have ever had. Simply because we paid attention to her love language and showed up in that way. So if you haven't gone and listened to the love languages episode, if you haven't done that, do it. It's important. You should probably check into that. What is your own love language? And then tell people.
100%. That's so special. So first, happy birthday, Mum.
Yay.
Happy birthday. Yay. That's nice. And you showed up for her in the most perfect way. And I think that's, that's, just before we finish up, that's a really important distinction as well. So someone like, that's your mum, right? So you know her so well and you know how to show up.
Yep.
You don't need to go learn everyone in the world's love language. Like, you're probably not going to know all of your friends the way that you know your mom or your sister. So as I said, like, again, reiterating the message or just something like that is enough. If you don't panic yourself is what I'm saying. You're going, okay, what's the best thing I can do for this person after this episode? Just something, like, just show up something, you know?
If you want to deepen your relationships, listen first, ask questions, listen more, ask clarifying questions, and then respond.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Important.
Important.
Well, on that note, we both have many, many things going on. So we're going to keep it short and sweet, leave you to it, and see you in a fortnight.
Heard.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.